This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. We in the lab room.
Louie T, welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 6 in the National Football League. Wednesday edition of In the Lab Room. Got a couple of things to get to. PDS a little bit later on. First things first, however, Soul Survivor week number 6. I'm 5-0. I gave you another gym last week. As a matter of fact, I gave you a gym and I gave you a backup plan just in case the gym that I tossed out there at first wasn't to your liking. So both of them came through for you. I'm 5-0 on the show. So right now I'm feeling really good about what I'm doing. Now, this is the big test. Week 6 to me is by far the toughest week in a Soul Survivor pool as far as picking a winner is concerned. This week, you can't go leaning on Jacksonville. You can't go leaning on the Jaguars this week because Tennessee Titans, they're not a team that you want to go staking your pool on. And I'll even throw in another gem for you. That's the same team Jacksonville got off the schneid on last year in Tennessee. So you really don't want to go there. That's family business anyhow. And then the Oakland Raiders are coming off of a bye. They got a new head coach. They're talking crazy in Oakland right now. They feel like they're invigorated. Now look, they're going up against one of the best in the league in the San Diego Superchargers. However, this Oakland team could jump up and it's family business. They could jump up and bite the San Diego Chargers. They know those boys. That's family. No, you can't do that. So it's a tough week. You got to go searching for a winner. But hey, don't fret. Never fear, your man Louie T is here to give you a winner for week number 6 in the National Football League. So let's jump into it. You know how this goes. It's fast paced. It's in your face. It's the Soul Survivor here in the lab room, week number 6. Let's get it. We start on Thursday Night Football. Houston, Texas, hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Family business. Move on. You go to the Sunday slate of games. Buffalo Bills hosting the New England Patriots. This is for the lead in the AFC East. Much like Thursday Night Football, two teams looking to put themselves atop the division. More family business. I don't need to say anything else. I'm going to the next game. Carolina at Cincinnati. I hate to do this, but ding, 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 ding. This is your Soul Survivor for week number 6. Now, I will say this. The Carolina Panthers do have one thing going in their favor right now. It was reported that A.J. Green, young, fresh, and green, got injured in practice on Wednesday, was carted off. He's been dealing with the toe injury. Heard he re-aggravated that. They're talking about him possibly missing a couple of weeks with this toe injury. It's been nagging him, and it might have finally caught up to him where he's not going to be able to suit up for a while. So if that is in fact true, then the Carolina Panthers will benefit from having A.J. Green out of the lineup. Despite his absence, though, I still feel like this Cincinnati Bengals team at home is going to be treacherous for this Carolina Panthers team to have to deal with. And forget about what you saw on Sunday Night Football. Forget about that. This is a Cincinnati Bengals team that doesn't play well on the road against big opponents. They don't play well when the lights are bright and they're shining on them hot. We've seen them struggle in those type of situations. This is at home. It's not a primetime matchup. They're in their comfort zone. I expect them to really take their frustrations out from Sunday's outcome out on the Carolina Panthers. I still feel like the Panthers are trying to iron some things out offensively. I still think they're trying to find some things, that, those chinks in the armor, those couple of things that are wrong defensively. I think they're still trying to figure those out. The Bears were having their way with them in that first half, and then the Bears self-destructed in the second half. So I'm thinking that a guy like Giovanni Bernard will be able to do some things. Matt Forte had a field day last week against the Panthers. I think that Giovanni Bernard and that Cincinnati Bengals offense will be able to do some things, score some points, and I think that defense will stifle Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. And remember, the Panthers have struggled with AFC North opponents. They were blown out by the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And I think this could be the best team in that division. And it's on the road, it's in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. I don't like the Panthers' chances here. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals to take care of business at home versus these Carolina Panthers. I hate to do it to the Panthers, but I got to do it to the Panthers because it's a tough week. It's tough sledding. It's cold out there on those streets, man, looking for a W. It's cold out there, and I'm warm. I'm hot, man. I'm nice and cozy in here. Come with me. I'm telling you, if you go out there and you start venturing out alone, you could get lost. Hey, I'll look, we're building trust here. I talked about this last week. This is a trust building exercise. So just in case you don't believe me that it's tough out there, I'm going to go through the rest of the slate of games. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to come back to this game right here because it's really, really dark and bleak out there in week number 6. But let's go on. Cleveland hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've seen this movie before. We've seen it before. And it's family business. And look, I don't like family business. You know how I feel about this. And so I'm going to hit the rewind button on this. And I'm going to take the tape out. Yeah, I'm talking about VHS. I'm not talking about a DVD. I'm going to hit the rewind button. And I'm going to take this back to Blockbuster. Oh, Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore, does it? And that's exactly how I feel about this game. Move on. So you go to Green Bay at Miami. Miami Dolphins coming off a win. Miami Dolphins coming off of a bye. Green Bay Packers playing some good football. I don't want to go here. I don't think this is a smart pick. And I would pick the Packers if I had to pick. And guess what? Packers are on the road. That's one of those no-nos. Let's move on to the next game. Detroit at Minnesota. Family business. Move on. Next game, Denver at the Jets. Look, this one, you can look at this one and be enticed. Again, Denver's on the road. You know how I feel about that. And the Jets play defense. Even though Geno Smith and Michael Vick looked terrible last week, keep in mind the Jets play defense. You just never know. I've seen quarterbacks go into New York, struggle, and the Jets come out with a W. I'm not touching this one. This is a trap game. Even though I think the Denver Broncos are going to handle business, I'm not staking my claim on this game. Move on. Next game on the docket. Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucs have played much better football. Even though the record still indicates that this is a bad football team, they're playing much better since the inclusion of Mike Glennon into the starting lineup as their quarterback. Ravens are a team, you don't know what you're getting from week to week with this team. Are you getting the team that blew the Carolina Panthers out of the water? Or are you getting the team that last week couldn't get out of their own way with turnovers and mistakes and drop passes? Which Baltimore Ravens team are you getting? You have no idea. And they're not at home, which is where they played their best football this season. I'm a little sketchy on them, and I don't trust the Buccaneers, so I'm not trusting this game. I'm moving on. So you go to the next matchup, Jacksonville at Tennessee. I told you, you can't track down and sniff the funk that's coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, because this Jacksonville Jaguars team knows the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans were the team that allowed them to get off the schneid last season in Tennessee. So I wouldn't do this one if I were you. This is a trap if I've ever seen one. This is a Tom and Jerry trap right here. One of those ones where, boom, the trap snaps down on your tail and you, woo-hoo! One of those Tom and Jerry traps. Don't get caught in it. Move on to the next game. It's family business anyway. So, San Diego at Oakland. Same deal here. These Oakland Raiders are coming off of a bye week. They got a new head coach. He buried the football, folks. It's brand new. It's young, fresh, and new in Oakland, even though the San Diego Superchargers are playing some of the best football in the league. It's family business. And you know how it goes when it's family business. If those two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. It's none of mine, so I'm moving on to the next matchup. Washington at Arizona. Now, for this one, it's really simple. If you could reassure me that one of these quarterbacks were going to play in this game, I'd tell you, hey, jump all over this. But you can't. You can't be sure if Carson Palmer or Drew Stanton is playing in this game. They might have to rely on Logan Thomas, their rookie 5th-round selection out of Virginia Tech. I'm not staking a claim on this kid, and you definitely can't trust the Redskins for anything. This is a no-brainer. Move on. This is an ugly matchup. Calais Campbell not playing. Pat P could be out. Move on. There are better options available. Speaking of which, Chicago at Atlanta. That's a better option than the one we just talked about, but this isn't one that you want to try. The Falcons' defense is atrocious. They scare me half to death. I would love to take this game. This game is very intriguing because the Falcons are a very good team at home, but no way I'm going against the Bears in this game when the Falcons are prone to giving up 30 plus on the defensive side of the football. Even though the Bears are a mess, hey, they can score with the best of them in this league. I'm not touching this game. This is a mess. Move on to the next game. Dallas at Seattle. This game right here could be one that in past years you jump all over. The Seattle Seahawks at home, Cowboys coming to their place. This is going to be a match made in heaven for the Seattle Seahawks. But this isn't years past. This is 2014 and the Cowboys are 4-1 and the Seattle Seahawks, they didn't look all that impressive on Monday night versus the Redskins. Granted, that's a different Seattle Seahawks team. When they're on the road, they're a different animal than what they are when they're at home. At home, we know how dominant this team has been over the last 3 years in their building. But the Cowboys have played some good football, and they've won 4 in a row, and they're trying to show everybody around the nation that they're for real, and this is their opportunity to prove it. So what's going to happen in this game? Are the Seattle Seahawks going to remain dominant at home, or are the Cowboys going to show the entire league that they're for real by going into Seattle and coming out with a W? You don't know what the outcome is. That's one of those unknowns. Stay away. This one could bite you in the tuchus. Move on to the next matchup. New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Family business of the NFC East variety. These two teams don't like each other. They're shooting off at the mouth at each other through the media before the game. It's going to be ugly, and you don't need to try to step in the middle of this fray. When these two teams step across those white lines, anything could happen, and that means you don't need to be around when these two teams try to settle the score. So move on to Monday night where you find more family business. San Francisco 49ers at the St. Louis Rams. Again, stay away, okay? These two teams will hurt you. It's family business. They know each other. You don't know, so don't go. Go back to where I told you to go from the start, which is Carolina traveling into the jungle to be hog-tied, duct-taped, and dealt with by the Cincinnati Bengals. You go ahead. Look down the list if you like one last time. There's nothing there for you, man. There's nothing there. This week is a crapshoot. So what I'm trying to do is save you from rolling snake eyes. Take the Cincinnati Bengals in week number 6 to be the sole survivor. Hey, it's tough out there, man. Let me lead the way. I'm trying to tell you, it's not a good look out there on those streets. This is a tough week, man. And even the game I'm picking is a toughie, but I'm really confident in the Cincinnati Bengals bouncing back from that Sunday night disappointment a week ago. So that's going to do it for the Soul Survivor. We'll take a quick break, come back, jump into PDS, and then we'll get out of here.
Social media has taken off in ways that I couldn't have imagined. And thus, I've taken the liberty to start being more active on social media. So like me on Facebook at In the Lab Room. Follow me on Twitter at In the Lab Room. You can also +1 me on Google Plus at Louie T. And also, of course, my main hub, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. That's youtube.com/InTheLabRoom. These are all ways that I'm looking forward to interacting with you, the viewers, in the upcoming season of the Louie T Network.
Welcome back. We're about to jump into the Week 6 edition of Pats, Daps, and Smacks. And let's start with the Pats. Tony Sparano, new Oakland Raiders head coach. He's coming in. He's changing the culture. It feels different in Oakland right now. Actually took a couple of jabs at Dennis Allen on his way out. He said that he's going to make his scheme fit to the talent that's on this roster and not vice versa. So basically saying that Dennis Allen was trying to make these guys into something that they weren't on this team. And so he's come in, he's done some symbolic things like burying the football, which essentially means what's done is done. That's in the past. This is a brand new football team and we're going to move forward as such. So he has this Oakland Raiders team right now invigorated. Now when the games start, and he's out there coaching these boys, if they're still playing bad football, then all of this means nothing. But this could be Tony Sparano's opportunity to work his way back into that elite fraternity known as NFL head coaches. And so his opportunity is upon him. Let's see what he does with it. Either way, whether the Raiders flame out and only win 2 games the remainder of the season, or he's able to turn this thing around and get the Raiders to 6 or 7 wins, whatever the case may be, Tony Sparano is going to need a pat on the back, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to him in advance. You move on to the next pat on the back. Phil Dawson, a.k.a. Phil the Boot. Man, this guy was top-notch in week number 5, and without him, the 49ers fall to the Kansas City Chiefs. Phil the Boot had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 field goals in week number 5 in the National Football League en route to a 22-17 victory over the Chiefs. Without his 5 field goals, this 49ers team does not survive the Kansas City Chiefs at home. And so Phil the Boot was extraordinary in a time when his team needed him to be extraordinary. For that, you get a pat on the back, Phil the Boot. So you move on to the final pat of the day. Dan, Dan Carpenter. My man Dan out there laying the carpet for this Bills football team and the foundation for a W on the road, clutch situation, getting it done against the Detroit Lions. A 58-yard bomb for this Buffalo Bills team as they moved down the field and got into field goal range. That's big time, my man. That's big time indeed. 58 big yards for the win on the road to set up this monumental matchup versus the New England Patriots for the AFC East lead in this young season. Can't do it much better than that. You don't see many kickers knocking home game-winning 58 yards. Hey, Dan, Dan Carpenter, my man, pat yourself on the back. So we move from there to Daps, and you got to start with a little bit of love for the New England Patriots, man. They ran off and everybody was talking about them like dirty dogs in the media about how, look, I'm not going to act as if I'm excluded from this. I've been talking about, and I still think that Tom Brady isn't the same guy, and I'm not moving off of that. But again, it's Brady, it's Belichick, it's the B&B winning factory. And until these guys are no longer an item, I always tend to err on the side of caution when talking about the B&B winning factory. And they had to remind everybody, just in case you forgot, let me remind you of who we are. And we are B&B winning factory. And nobody does it better than Brady and Belichick. And just in case you forgot, they had to remind you on Sunday Night Football last week against quote-unquote the best team in the AFC, they put those boys to shame on national television in Foxborough. And for that kind of performance, you definitely get some dap from me. That was big time. And sometimes you just need a reminder. And B&B Winning Factory said, hey, we're going to show you boys better than we can tell you. Yeah, we had a rough week last week. Yeah, we struggled with the Oakland Raiders, but it's still the B&B Winning Factory. And until somebody shuts us down and locks up the doors, we're going to keep churning out W's. Big time win for the B&B Winning Factory. You move on to the next set of daps. And I'm going to lump these two teams together, but they both deserve individual dap. Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers. When you're coming back down big in a football game, it's important to realize that A, you got time, and B, we can make this happen, but we got to do it as a team. And nobody exemplified that more than the Cleveland Browns in week number 5. Down 25 points late in the second quarter, the Browns never flinched, they never gave up, and they never gave in. They never panicked. They got a touchdown before the half, cut it to 28-10, and rallied from 25 points down to win this football game, 29-28. The Browns have done this time and time again this season. They don't always come out on top, but they're never out of the game. And I don't know what Mike Patton has these boys drinking at the half, but that's the second time this season that this team has erased an 18-point deficit or more in the second half. Did it in week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road and did it again on the road. It's one thing to do this type of thing at home like the Panthers did. It's another thing to do it in somebody else's house. Big time hurt your hand dap for the Cleveland Browns. Speaking of giving out some more dap, Carolina Panthers at home in a game that they had to have with the schedule that's upcoming for this team. They needed to get this one. Down 21-7, and the Bears threatening deep in Panthers territory. The defense stood up, forced a field goal. They were able to force a miss of Robbie Gould and able to come back in this game down 14 to win 31-24. And the Panthers got it done against all odds. I mean, they could have easily shut it down. Remember, the last 2 games for this Panthers team were blowouts. One by the Steelers at home, one by the Ravens on the road. They could have easily said, here we go again, packed it up, folded the tent, and been blown out of this game. Nothing was going right. They had 3 first-half turnovers. They could have hung their head. They could have been a team that went into the tank, but instead they showed heart, they showed resolve, and for that, hot hand, hurt hand, dap for the Carolina Panthers. You move on to a dap that we so often overlook, Peyton Manning. And he gets a special 500th touchdown of his career dap. And only the second quarterback in NFL history to do that. And before it's all said and done, probably in the next 2 weeks or so, he'll bypass Brett Favre for the most passing touchdowns in NFL history. And I can't think of a guy that is better suited to own that record than one Peyton Manning. And again, we often overlook his accolades because he's so great, but he deserves credit, and I love giving credit where credit is due. And Peyton, you are due. So that, my man, congratulations on your 500th touchdown pass in the National Football League. And so we go to Smacks this week. Make it nice and quick. And I feel real bougie today. I don't feel like power slapping or Blue Lagoon surfing anybody today. I just want to keep it nice and clean today. I feel real bougie. I feel a little, So we start with the Chicago Bears. You're on the road. You jump out to a 21-7 lead. Matt Forte is dominating. Jay Cutler having his way. At one point, Jay Cutler was 21 of 24 in this game, carving up the Carolina Panthers. And then Robbie Gould misses a field goal, and somewhere along the way, the Chicago Bears just get lost in this game. They start turning it over. Cutler throws a couple of picks. Forte fumbles the football. They can't get out of their own way. The defense can't stop the Panthers. and a few of their backups and a couple of guys that got off the street. And it just got ugly for the Bears in a hurry, and they lose the football game after being up by 14 and threatening to take a 21 or a 17-point lead in this game. Shame on the Bears. This is why they always miss the postseason. I talked about it before, and I'm talking about it again. This Bears team is the mark of inconsistency in this league. One week they're on the road against the 49ers, scoring 28 unanswered points en route to a victory, and the next week they're on the road stymieing the Jets, and then the next week after that they're having one heck of a first half only to be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in the second half versus the Green Bay Packers, and now they can't get out of their own way against the Carolina Panthers. Shame on you, Chicago. This is why at season's end you won't be going to the dance because of losses like this. Take that. Move on to the next team on the docket, the Tennessee Titans. I hate to slap a man while he's down, but the Titans, that loss last week was the epitome of ineptitude on its largest scale. You can't take a 28-3 lead at the crib and lose to the likes of the Cleveland Browns. And I don't want to disrespect the Cleveland Browns because I like what those young boys are doing right now. However, the fact of the matter is they're the Cleveland Browns. That's not the Denver Broncos. That's not the San Diego Chargers. That's not a high-powered offense like the Green Bay Packers. That's not a team that you're supposed to give up 26 unanswered points to. And hell, you should do something offensively with a lead like that. All you needed was a field goal. All you needed was a touchdown. All you needed was a turnover. You couldn't generate any of these things. And when you did, it was called back because of a penalty because you're too bad to get out of your own way. This is terrible. And on a scale of 1 to 10, this is an 11 in terms of worst losses at home in this season. By far, one of the most disappointing second halves I've seen of any team this season. For that, you take a snap. If you're the Tennessee Titans, you move on to the next team. What is going on in New York with these Jets? Man, oh man, I talked to Rex last week. I told him, make the switch, Rex. Make the switch. Rex said, nope, I'm going to remain true and loyal to what I've got going on. I'm sticking with Geno. He's my guy. Okay, Geno's getting his brains bashed in and turning the football over. So you go to Michael Vick, and Mike says, hey man, don't come at me in the middle of the game and expect me to work magic. So Mike goes 1 of 11 and stinks it up. What do you do now? Rex, you've made a mess, and you made a funky bed. Now you got to lie in it. The Jets are a train wreck right now, and it's all bad out there. Take this smack for being late to the party. I told you to get Geno out of there when you had a chance. Now you don't know what to do, and it's going nowhere but south from here. And you move on to the last smack of the day, the Detroit Lions kicking situation. It's been a mess from the beginning. Man, do you long for the days of Jason Hanson or what? After having him for over 20 years, when he retired, you went to David Akers. That didn't work out so well. Then you had a guy named Kickalicious, nicknamed Kickalicious, in your camp. And I said, hey, why don't you give the guy a chance? You cut him, you kept somebody else, and you've had trouble ever since. You started out the season with a kicker that couldn't get it done. He missed some kicks against the Panthers that I thought actually cost you that football game. You cut him after he stunk it up. Then you go out on the street and you go get another kicker that's had struggles over his career. And he was in the Philadelphia Eagles organization. They cut ties with him because he couldn't get it done. You go up and you scoop him up, and he comes in and shows you why he was out on the street. He misses 3 field goals, including the game winner, which allows the Buffalo Bills to get in the field goal range and beat you. Shame on you for not having this kicking situation in order. That's why you're 3-2 on the season instead of potentially 5-0, definitely 4-1. For this kicking situation that's already cost you 2 games, Detroit Lions, take a smack. And that's going to do it for this edition of Pats, Daps, and Snaps. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Is your team hot or cold? Is your team trending up or down? Is your team flying below the radar or a visible force on the grid? Whatever the case, we'll do our own NFL power ranking here in the lab room. It's the NFL Power Grid, coming soon here in the lab room. You just saw the promo for the NFL Power Grid. That's coming at you shortly. Just ironing out some of the kinks on this one, a couple of the wrinkles that I have left. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to unveil it. It'll be here shortly, so stay tuned for that. And I can't wait, man. That's going to be a lot of fun, breaking down these teams and talking about where they are in the NFL pantheon. I know a lot of you are going to disagree, and that's what I want. I want to foster debate. I want you to come up, no, this team is better than that team's better than, how could you have this team? Look, I will say this much. There's no argument with the bottom rung of the NFL. I don't want to hear anybody arguing with me over who's 29th and who's 27th, okay? That's garbage. All those teams stink. They're at the bottom for a reason. Where the real argument is probably from 20 up to number 1. And so those last 12 teams, leave them where they are. Let them fend for themselves at the bottom of the rung that is known as the National Football League. And that's going to do it for me here on this Wednesday edition of In the Lab. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me tomorrow as I break down that huge AFC South matchup with the number 1 spot in that division on the line. Texans hosting the Indianapolis Colts. That should be a lot of fun. We'll be talking about it here in the Lab Room tomorrow. I'll see you then. Have a good week.